What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now, this is an exciting week because it is the last week we are talking about clerics, at least the official ones. So I wanted to give you all the plan for the next few weeks because we've talked about this in some polls over the past month or so as far as what's coming up soon on the channel. So next week we're going to have our 1,000 subscriber special, and so I want you guys to be excited for that. Of course, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. And we are going to have a lot of fun with that. It is a Q&A, and it is a, ask me anything, but I will also have my D&D group with me in that video, and so that way you may have questions for the group, and we can talk about that collectively, and I think that that's going to be an absolute blast. So that is next week. The next few weeks after that are going to be homebrew things that we are covering. So we're going to be covering things that are written by Matt Mercer, things like the Juggernaut Barbarian, things like what else? The Blood Cleric, the Blood Wizard. Well, we won't cover the Blood Wizard yet, but we're basically going to get caught up on everything that we have missed so far. So all of the artificers, which there aren't any, I don't think, barbarians, bards, and clerics, anything like that is by Matthew Mercer, we're going to cover. There might be a couple other that I might throw into this just because I had some requests to throw in some homebrew to the series, and then once we finish getting caught up, we will then start on Druid, and we will go in order as far as alphabetically, adding in all of the homebrew stuff as we go along with that. So basically just getting caught up, and then I'm going to start on Druid, and we will do them as we go from now on. So that is the general plan. So of course, if that's exciting to you, which it should be, because I love seeing options and seeing what's out there, make sure you're subscribed. Help us to get to our next 1,000. I would love to get there by the end of this year. Originally, my goal was to get to 1,000 by the end of this year, and you all just kind of went crazy. So can we get to 2,000 by the end of this year? I mean, at the rate we're going, probably. I just need your help to get there. Of course, make sure that you share the video with your friends, and then, of course, click the bell so you're notified when new videos are uploaded. So today we're talking about the War Cleric. This is the one that rushes into battle and just wants to kill stuff. I mean, let's be real. It's a killing machine. It's not quite like the Death Cleric as far as like bringing up helpers. This is a one person machine, and it is the goal of that person to just mow down everything in its way. Does it do that effectively though? Let's find out. So first up, as always, is our expanded spell list, and it's okay, right? There's a lot of repeats here, things like Spiritual Weapon, things like Shield of Faith, Spirit Guardians. There are a lot of things that are repeat offenders here, and so that's not the best, but we do also get things like Hold Monster, which is pretty fantastic. Magic Weapon can be good. Crusader's Mantle can also be okay. It is a 3rd level Paladin spell, which of course they don't get access to until much later. We get access to it at level 5, so that's pretty cool. Overall, it's not a bad spell list. There's just a lot of stuff that we can already do. So overall, it's going to get an 8 out of 10. I would have liked to have seen some different things on here, but it'll do. We get 2 features at level 1, and the first one is bonus proficiency. And of course, we get proficiency with martial weapons and heavy armor. That's always a 10 out of 10 in my book, getting access to both right there. And it makes sense on a War Cleric to be able to run around with a big scary weapon and have a lot of armor on and just go to town. What else do you want? I think it's perfectly appropriate for this subclass. Also, level 1, we get War Priest, and this allows us to make an attack as a bonus action as long as we took the attack action on our turn, which is pretty cool. Now, a couple of things about this. Number 1, that bonus action attack has to be a weapon attack. So it is not no unarmed strikes, nothing, no spells, nothing crazy like that. It's just a weapon attack, which in fairness, that's not that crazy. But at level 3, we get Spiritual Weapon, which is arguably a better use of our bonus action. And this just kind of conflicts, unfortunately. I would rather be making attacks with Spiritual Weapon. I guess this is okay if you run out of second level spell slots, but I mean, how long is that going to last? You know, that you run out of spell slots to cast Spiritual Weapon. It's okay. And we can only use it Wisdom modifier times per day. I don't know why we couldn't have just done this an unlimited amount of times and just make this, you know, a thing for this subclass. Overall, it's a little disappointing in how it functions, unfortunately. So I gotta give this a 7 out of 10. It is an extra attack, but it may not always be as useful as it comes across on paper. At level 2, we get Channel Divinity, and of course this is something we get across all of the clerics, but we get a unique one to us in the form of Guided Strike. So when we make an attack roll, we can actually just add 10 to that roll before the DM says whether it hits or misses, and so that's really cool, right? Let's say it works also with something like Great Weapon Master. Maybe you now just have a +5 to hit, but still you also have a +10 to damage, just flat guaranteed, so that helps a lot with our damage. The problem here is that you only can use it a super limited amount of times per day, and also Harness Divine Power is right there. It competes with Harness Divine Power, and it's not something that gives you this lasting effect. You know, last week we talked about the Twilight Cleric, and you know, it has this aura that lasts for a minute that gives you so many things. We also talked about the Trickery Cleric the week before that, and it has the Duplicity, the duplicate that runs around the battlefield and lasts for a while. And so, you know, you've got those that give you a lasting benefit. This lasts for one attack roll. That's it. Right? And so you use it, it's gone. You burned your Channel Divinity to get one attack roll hit. I don't think that that's necessarily super worth it overall. I think that there are better uses for my Channel Divinity. I gotta give this a 5 out of 10. I really can't give it much more. It's nice when you use it, but then you're done. That's all you get until you short rest. At level 6, we get another Channel Divinity option, and like I've said on pretty much all the other clerics, any cleric that gets a second Channel Divinity option equal to it is normally not great. And in this case, though, I think this one is actually better than the first one that we got, but it's basically the same thing. We can use our reaction to now add a +10 bonus to a friend of ours within 30 feet. I think this is much more useful than using it on ourselves, in my opinion. So this is going to rank a little bit higher. I do think this is a 7 out of 10. Being able to give your friends a +10 to hit is much, much better, in my opinion, than giving it to us. They're probably going to hit a whole lot harder. And of course, if they have Great Weapon Master, it's going to go a really long way for them. So I think you give this away, and I think that you use it more on other people than yourself. At level 8, we get Divine Strike, and of course, just like a lot of other clerics, this adds 1d8 in damage to our weapon attacks, and 2d8 once we get to level 14. The problem with this one is that normally you get some kind of a different type of damage type. So, you know, we had Radiant damage last week, we had Poison damage the week before. This week is the same type of damage dealt by the weapon. I don't know how I feel about that, right? So if you don't have a magic weapon, if you haven't cast that spell, which, I mean, we do get access to that spell if you don't have a magical weapon, but if let's say you don't have that spell cast right now, and you've just got a normal weapon, even though it's level 8, so it's kind of late to not have a magical weapon, but either way, like, it's just the same type. It's slashing damage, right? How many slashing damage, bludgeoning, piercing, just something like that. So, like, you know, what if something was weak to fire, weak to, you know, cold, whatever it is, you just extra bludgeoning, extra slashing, extra piercing. That's it. I find that underwhelming to me. I find that, and honestly, I find it boring. I find it really just blah, right? Because I'm looking for flavor, I'm looking for fun, and if it's just, oh, I did a little bit of extra weapon damage, and it took me 8 levels to be able to do that. Not a fan. 5 out of 10. That's the best that I can do, really. I mean, it's nice to have the extra damage, but it's just boring more than anything else, and I'm just looking for something a little more flavorful. At level 17, of course, this is our capstone feature, so you know it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be really powerful. It's going to change the game entirely because we came this far, 17 levels worth. We get resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. Really? That's what we get at level 17? Non-magical attacks specifically. So that's great when the dragon goes to slash you, but what about every other source of damage? You know, obviously we're going to be attacked by bludgeoning, piercing, slashing more than any other damage types in the game. That is just a fact. However, by this rate, you know, you're at level 17. If you fight some crazy strong fighter, they're going to have a +3 weapon, and it's magical, and this is going to do nothing for you. It's worse than the first level of Barbarian. Barbarian at least is all bludgeoning, piercing, slashing with rage. This is just from non-magical. So I have a 17th level feature that is worse than a first level feature. Something is wrong with that. This is a 5 out of 10, and I'm honestly, I really want to give it lower, but I'm trying to be nice. So where does this rank? As you can see, this started off pretty good, and then it just took a nosedive, and it just went bad. So obviously, like, if you multi-class into this, it's probably not the worst thing, right? Taking a level or two of this, it's probably not the worst, right? If you need heavy armor proficiency, if you need martial weapon proficiency, you've got that, right? You can get all that here. You get Shield of Faith, which you already had anyway. You get Divine Favor, which is okay, I guess. You know, you can just get Spiritual Weapon, which you already had. You can get Magic Weapon, which you may or may not have already had. So that's nice, right? But then like Divine or Guided Strike on yourself is whatever. And then you've got to go 6 levels to get War God's Blessing. That's too much for a multi-class to me, and that's the more useful use of your Channel Divinity. It's tough, right? I think this one struggles in a lot of ways, and I think it needs a lot of help. And so unfortunately, this one is going to get a 6 out of 10, which means this is a failure. It is going to need a fix later this week. And so I hope you guys are looking forward to one last fix for the clerics here, unless I have to fix one of Matt's. We'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna have to fix any of his or not. That could be interesting, telling Matt that his stuff isn't powerful enough. Normally Matt is really good about making stuff super powerful, so I doubt that's gonna happen. But so this is probably our very last fix for the cleric, and I'm excited. But yeah, this subclass just kind of gets to me, and I'm not a fan. So that is our video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Of course, later this week we are going to be fixing this, and then next week we are moving to Homebrew after we do our 1,000 subscriber special. And so I'm looking forward to that, of course. I hope you guys are as well. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe out there. Stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.